Hi, this video is all about the Husqvarna Viking OPAL 690Q. There are three OPAL models in the range altogether. There's the OPAL 650, the OPAL 670 and then the OPAL 690Q. So it is the highest out of those three. This video is a demonstrational video going through the top features of the machine, and it'll answer any initial questions that you will have when thinking of buying a new machine. Let's start with going through the threading. The spool pin will go vertically or horizontally, depending on the type of thread that you might be using. And there'll be different sized spool caps to accommodate different size reels. When threading, hold tight with your right hand and use your left to follow the paths around. Onto the needle threader. If you pull your needle threader down, a small hook goes through the eye of the needle. This will pull a small loop of thread out towards the back when you take the needle threader back away. The bobbins have a small H on which always face upwards when placing into the bobbin case. Follow the paths all the way around, and when you pop the bobbin cover back on, pull the thread and it'll cut, ready for you to start sewing. One of the top features of the OPAL 690Q is the exclusive sensor system. You will notice that there is no lever to lift or lower the presser foot. You simply tap your foot on the foot control or use the buttons on the machine to lower the foot. If you select needle down, you will see that the foot will lift slightly. If you start sewing with the needle down, when you finish, it'll also stop in the down position. With the needle down, turning corners are easy because of this pivot function. When you finish sewing, use scissors to cut the thread and the foot lifts up, allowing you to easily take out your fabric. There is an extra lift, which is great for bulky fabrics, as you can see here. And the sensor system automatically adjusts the foot pressure. So when you first lower the foot, it adjusts accordingly depending on the thickness of the fabric. It'll also adjust as you're sewing. This is great for sewing through multiple layers and bulky seams. As we reach the bulky seam in the middle, the pressure adjusts so that it glides over the top with ease. I have not had to adjust any other settings, just let the exclusive sensor system do the work. The OPAL 690Q is the first in our range to have this feature. Now let's have a look at navigating around the screen. The OPAL 690Q has an LCD screen which clearly displays all the information you need. This is all part of our exclusive Sewing Advisor, another top feature for the OPAL 690Q. It displays the stitch along with the foot to use, and each stitch will have a preset width, length and tension. These settings are easily altered by using the plus and minus buttons. For example, if I want a longer stitch length, I use the plus to make it longer. and the minus to take it back down again. The Opal 690Q has automatic tensions which are displayed here. Again, you can adjust these by using the plus and minus buttons. At the top of the screen, you will see a type of fabric displayed. If you touch the sewing machine icon next to this, then a list of fabrics will appear. There are woven, stretch, and even a leather and vinyl option down the bottom. Select the fabric that is closest to what you are working with. And on the tab along from this is the Techniques tab, which will bring up a quick select menu of the most common techniques. I select the technique that I want to do, for example, seam and overcast. Check the right fabric is selected, and for this I have chosen a stretch medium. When I go back to the main menu, you will see it has automatically selected the best recommended stitch for that technique with that fabric. The Sewing Advisor also suggests which needle to use. It will select the best length, width and tension for the stitch. These can all be adjusted and fine-tuned if needed. It is a great starting point, especially if you are using fabrics or techniques you have not used before. If I go back into the menu to choose a different fabric, but to keep the technique the same, you will see that a different stitch has now been recommended, as well as different tensions, length and width. This is all part of the exclusive Sewing Advisor. The Opal 650, 670 and 690Q all have the exclusive Sewing Advisor, and they are the first models in the Husqvarna Viking range to have this feature built in. While we are looking at the machine, let's have a look at some of the other stitches. If we open up the lid, you can see that not only have we got the Techniques menu in the Sewing Advisor, we have got over 200 plus stitches that are built into the machine, and they are split into 4 different menus. The stitch menu can be found in the top right hand corner. Once selected, you can see that the 4 different menus have now appeared on the screen. Look through your stitches to choose which one you want to do. If you want something from menu 4, select it on the screen, followed by the number of that stitch. The numbers for each stitch can be found along the black line in the lid. Press OK and it will display the stitch you have chosen on the screen. And you will now see a new symbol appear. This is telling me that I need to use a stitch and tear or some sort of stabiliser to help stabilise the fabric as the machine is stitching out. Each stitch will have a minimum and a maximum length and width it will go to. If you alter these settings, then the stitch on the screen will also change to give you an idea of how it's going to look when you stitch it out. And if you have altered any of the preset settings, the background will go dark so that you know you have made adjustments. If you try and make it go longer or wider than the maximum or minimum, it'll beep and not let you go any further. Not only are there over 200 stitches split into different categories, utility, quilt and decorative, there are also alphabets to choose from. If you go back into the stitch menu, you will see an alphabet tab along the top. This will bring up your fonts available. Select the font that you want to use and the alphabet will then appear for you to select your letters. You can scroll down to get to lowercase, And if you make a mistake, you can just use the delete button to go back and redo. And scroll down again to get numbers and symbols. Once you are happy with your sequence, press the program button along the side and it will take you back to your main menu. If you scroll through, you can see that the sequence will repeat. If you just want to sew one repeat and then stop, then press the stop button on the machine before you start sewing. Now you can see that only one repeat is displayed on the screen. For decorative stitching, including lettering, you will need to change the foot, and again the screen will tell you which to use. The B foot is usually the one that is used. It has a ridge underneath to help glide over the stitches. The presser feet pull off and clip on easily. Place your fabric underneath and start sewing. You can just guide the fabric and the machine will stitch out the sequence. If you haven't pressed the stop button before you start sewing, then you can press it whilst you are. If you use the stop button, the machine will finish that repeat of the pattern before it stops. There is also a fix button, but if you push this, it'll stop sewing immediately. The lettering is a really nice size to add labels and personalisation to your makes. The last feature we're going to go through are the buttonholes. The Opal range are the first in the range to have a plug-in sensor buttonhole, which allows you to create much larger buttonholes. This is the buttonhole foot that comes with the machine. There are 6 different buttonholes to choose from, which are located in the first menu. To attach the foot, the metal part clips on like normal. And then you'll notice there is a jack on the buttonhole foot, which plugs into a socket located just behind the light bulb in the head of the machine. There is a small white patch on the red wheel which needs to be in line with the white line on the black section of the foot. Once this is plugged in, you will be able to select the buttonhole size you need. The machine sets to 16mm as standard and you use the plus or minus buttons to change the size. If you are unsure of the size of your button, then you can use the measuring guide on the front of the sewing machine. As you can see here, it goes up to 50mm, which is the maximum buttonhole size you can do. Place your fabric underneath and let the machine stitch out your buttonhole. If you are doing multiple buttonholes, you can carry one after another. You don't have to reset any settings. The machine does that for you. If you'd like any more information about the Opal 690Q, then please visit our website to view our product range. You will also be able to find your nearest dealer who will be able to answer any other questions that you might have.